hello and welcome back to the Whatnauts review show, number 320. My name is Kyle Springer, and I am joined, as always, by Melissa Wilkinson. Melissa, how are you?
I'm good. Interesting that you think somebody's coming back to this. Like, there's no chance this is somebody's first episode.
It's the like, maybe you've checked out one of our other podcasts. It's hopeful, right? It's like, please watch us.
That is the interesting thing about our podcast, is that for 320 episodes, we've done a vast array of topics.
Yeah.
And I don't know the greatest number of episodes any one stranger has ever listened to. I don't know if there's anybody who is not one of our immediate friends or family members who has much of the same taste as we do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people tune in for one, and they're like, did you ever talk about that again? No?
It's like,
all
no,
right.
We already did it.
I'll see ya.
We already covered it. But yeah, so I almost had a bit of a panic attack before recording today. Well, last night when you messaged me, I had completely forgotten that we had decided to record today. We are recording this on a Thursday afternoon. It is Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to everyone out there. Completely forgot that that's what we had talked about. And couldn't read. I was like, well, all right, I guess this works out because we're like, let's not do our normal time. I want to sleep in. You were out late. So I was like, oh, okay, this is perfect. I can wake up and watch the movie. And then I watched the movie, and then I was like, I'm going to make some lunch, and I'm going to sit down and watch this video essay that you sent me on Discord.
I should have sent a correction note. I sent you a video essay that I had misremembered as being about the movie we're talking about today, Le Mans.
Right.
Really, it's about Grand Prix. I'm sorry. I mixed up my old movies about European sports car races.
They are oddly related, but I started to watch that, and then in the back of my mind, I was like, wait, did I watch the wrong movie?
No, you did not.
You did not. Grand Prix? No. I had to look it up and download our episode on Superman to be like, what did I say? I remember Steve McQueen being mentioned. I think this is the right one. Is he in Grand Prix? And I don't know it.
No. No.
Yeah, thankfully I was like, oh, phew. Okay, good.
Kyle, do you want to hear the story of why I was out until 12:30 in the morning?
Yeah, you were at the Muni. I assume you were seeing a play.
Yes,
or
they're all musicals, like Kyle. They never do non-musicals there.
Yeah, all plays are not musicals. All musicals are plays, right? Yeah, that's how it goes.
All rectangles are squares, not all squares are rectangles. Yeah. One of those. This was the musical Bring It On, based on the cheerleading movie from the early 2000s. You remember. Every show, this is an outdoor musical theater. This is a St. Louis tradition. And every show starts every night at 8:15 because they want to time it for dusk. You always watch the sunset right when the main character has their big I want number. And right at about 8, it's the sky lets loose. It storms. My friend Ashley and I stay in our seats. We're like, we brought umbrellas, we brought ponchos, we're good. Because if we get up now and go hide under the awning, we're going to come back and our seat's going to be wet. And we did not bring towels. We were prepared to stay there. So we huddle under umbrellas for like half an hour. It was a very intense but relatively brief storm. Then they bring out the fans. Because there's no awning over the stage. The stage is open to the stunning night sky. They bring out the big fans. They bring out the big squeegees, which I love. Yeah. Seeing the stagehands squeegee off the stage like it's a massive windshield. The show finally starts at 9:00. It's a lot of fun. Incredible cheer stunts. And then finally, when the show ends, the executive producer comes out. Now, every once in a while, the executive producer of the Muni will come out and talk to you for a couple minutes before the show. He'll do it for about, I catch it like half the shows in a season.
Mhm.
but I've never seen him come out after a show before. And I'm like, maybe he was just running late before. I don't know. What's he here to say? And he brings out, as special surprise guests for us all, the writers of the musical Bring It On.
Hmm.
Kyle, do you know who wrote the musical Bring It On?
I do not.
Even you knowing nothing about Broadway, can you name one name associated with Broadway?
Lin-Manuel Miranda? Right?
Kyle, you got it!
Yeah!
Yes, Lin-Manuel Miranda showed up to our beautiful city. It was his first time at the Muni. We were all very proud to
Oh,
see him. So
that's awesome.
that's what. So a long rain delay, the most worth it any rain delay has ever been.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of happy that's him and the other writers got to see our city in that mode. It is terrifically inspirational when the weather sucks, but everybody still sticks it out anyway and has a good time.
That's awesome. That's a
Yeah,
great
so
little story.
major surprise celebrity experience. And they brought out the Tony Award because the Muni
Ooh.
just won. Every year, the Tony Awards gives out one Regional Theater of Excellence award, and this year we won it. And so the
Nice.
president of the Muni comes out with the Tony Award, which was almost as exciting as celebrity Lin-Manuel Miranda, because I've never seen a Tony Award in real life before.
Right, yeah. That's awesome. That's so
It
cool.
was terrific. A wonderful way to start the summer.
Indeed. Well, if you guys did not know, here at the Whatnauts review show, each and every episode, we have a different story to talk about. Could be a movie, a comic book, an anime, manga, all sorts of stuff. We read it, we watch it, we come back here, and we talk about it. We mentioned Le Mans. That is the movie that we are talking about this time. I believe from 1971 is when this one came out. It was early 70s, I believe. But this stars
Yes.
Steve McQueen. Thank you. I don't think I had ever seen a Steve McQueen movie before. I think this is my first one.
I have seen The Great Escape
Yeah, no, I haven't watched that one.
and surely portions of others, but I know all of The Great Escape.
Yeah. But we wanted to watch a racing movie for a couple of reasons. Namely, the F1 movie is coming out next weekend. I'm super excited about that. I have been a Formula One fan for the past couple years now. Melissa, you've started to get into it as I've brought it on the show and stuff like that. We have a whole podcast episode over on the Captain's Log where I am explaining Formula One to you, Melissa. I have a whole presentation, all sorts of stuff. If you are interested in that, please go check it out. And yeah, we kind of wanted to watch like what other racing movies are out there that we can watch. Because I'm outside of Formula One, I don't know much about motorsport. So I don't really know much about Le Mans. I don't really know much about the Indy 500, what have you, all of the different racing series and championships that are out there. But I know there's some good racing movies out there. On top of that, last weekend was the 2025 Le Mans race. And so we decided to go with Le Mans, this movie here. And I think it was an interesting choice. I think it was a good one for us to check out, especially if we're about to go see this new F1 movie coming up soon. Went into this not really knowing what to expect, which I think was exciting. I think it was an interesting one. What did you think, Melissa?
I had a great time with this. This is a very us movie in that it's sort of an abstract tone poem of what the race is like.
Yeah.
It'll have these flashes of small textural elements where it'll just be like a flash of color, a light, a bit of road. It slowly constructs the entirety of the race experience. we have discovered that one of our favorite types of movies is so slow it's thrilling. And this is both so fast it's thrilling and so slow it's thrilling. Didn't expect
Yeah.
both.
I mean, it's not a super long movie. It's like an hour and 40, hour and 50 ish.
Ah,
Uh, but it at times can feel like it's only an hour and 30, like quick, tight 90, but it's not. And at times it can feel like, I feel like there was more to this movie that they were trying to make that got cut out that didn't make it in there. I don't, this is a really weird one because I feel like it is a very interesting piece of filmmaking. I don't necessarily think it's a good movie though, but it's
y-
still like I found it fascinating to watch, and like I'm super excited to talk about it because we also recently did a podcast on Mission Impossible,
mhm, mhm.
Mission Impossible 8, The Final Reckoning, and we talked about how that one had some super high highs and then some just weird bizarre choices that were kind of the low
Mm,
points of this. And I feel like that's almost the same thing with this movie here.
yes.
There's some incredible racing sequences. They're a lot of fun. There's great tension. um it really feels like what you would see in a modern, like what I expect to see in this F1 movie. It is filled with shots and scenes that I'm kind of used to from watching an actual F1 race. And that stuff is exciting. I feel the tension in these bits when the cars get so close it looks like they're about to touch, or oh, here comes the rain and it like all the cars are sliding and it's like, uh-oh, this is slippery and it's wet and this is dangerous. um I had a great time with that. I The plot of this
Yeah,
is really interesting because it's barely there. I don't
yes.
think it's fair to say that this movie does not know what it wants to be. I think it's more accurate to say it's trying to be multiple things and never quite gets any one of them per se. Um,
Mhm.
and that's, I think, what makes it so fascinating.
The movie has exactly what you go into it wanting. It
Yeah.
has the exciting high-speed race sequences, but it withholds that from you for quite a while at the beginning of the
The first
movie.
half an hour. Yeah.
Yes, and shows you things that are adjacent. Not completely unrelated, adjacent. Like we start with Steve McQueen taking a leisurely drive through France. We start with all of the carnival, literal carnival that surrounds Le Mans. All the setup, the people in the stands, the people camping out. It does take a while to kick in, but for my experience, that was an anticipation I enjoyed and ultimately
Mm.
found satisfying. When we watched The Wages of Fear, and all I knew about that movie was that it was these men in trucks who had to transport dynamite, and because the dynamite was so volatile and fragile, they had to drive as slow as possible. And I was excited for the tension
Yeah.
in those quote unquote action sequences because it is a very different type of action than you would get in any other car driving movie. And we have to spend like an hour with those guys in the town before the conflict is introduced that makes them drive the dynamite. And I'm like, just get into the car. The car is all I want.
Drive slow,
This is
drive slow, drive slow.
yes, yes, yes. But for this, because we get so many things that are adjacent, it's not completely unrelated. It's not like we just see Steve McQueen at home
Right. Yeah. There's
talking
like
to a
the
lawyer or
buzz and
something.
excitement around the
Yes,
race that's
yes.
about to happen. There's this
There's
like palpable feeling of just like
yes.
this is about to be really exciting.
And then when the race starts, you are pumping your fists and cheering.
Yeah.
I liked being on that ride.
Yeah. For sure. For sure. Well, let's get into a bit of a plot synopsis, and then we can dive a little more in depth to the film after a quick break. So, plot synopsis. Steve McQueen is playing a racer. I don't even remember his name's character or his character's name. Excuse me.
Michael Delaney?
Yes, I believe that is correct. Um, he is a racing driver. He is the former rival of Piero Belghetti, who died in the Le Mans race the previous year.
Mm.
And he is kind of wrestling with that as he's entering the race from this year. And the movie revolves around the pressures of the race, him seeing the widow at the race, what she must be thinking, what she's going through, as well as what he goes through when he has a crash down the road. It's often about the perceived trauma or grief, and like how they overcome these literal and metaphorical roadblocks of this race. Beyond that, there's not much of a plot.
No, it's just driving.
Yeah,
Sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes
and
crashing.
yeah, we'll get into this a little bit more in depth when we get into spoilers. But it's not really a movie about, well, who wins the race. Like it's not
Mm.
that kind of movie
It's
per se.
what
But
is the cost of even attempting to compete in the race?
yeah. So it's an interesting one for sure. I recommend it. Go check it out if you are looking for something to watch before this F1 movie comes out. Yes.
The movie poster is here on the Wikipedia page. I'd love to read you this tagline. Steve McQueen takes you for a drive in the country. The country is France. The drive is at 200 miles per hour!
Right? Yeah.
Exclamation mark.
I think they
This is a cool
mentioned
poster.
in there the cars get up to 230 max speed, which I think Formula One gets up to 250. But then they said something else in the movie that one of the drivers had broken the record for an average top speed of 150. So just because they can go 230 does not mean that they are going that the entire time. But yeah, I have up on screen a different poster of the Le Mans. I hope it's just the one of him standing there in the Le Mans text vertical right next to him.
That's I don't have it here at my desk. That is the poster that's on the DVD I borrowed from my local library.
There you go. So yeah, I think with that, we will take a quick break for housekeeping. And when we come back, we will dive a little bit more in depth to Le Mans. So we will be right back. Thank you so much for checking out this podcast. We hope you're enjoying it. If you didn't know, we make multiple different shows here at the Whatnauts, and a lot of hard work goes into making them, so we would love it if you check them all out. But none of this is possible without your support. Head over to patreon.com/thewhatnauts, and you can get access to over 40 hours of exclusive content, including our Patreon first podcast, The Pilots Club, when you sign up at our $3 tier. Of course, there is a free version of the Pilots Club available, but episodes are exclusive to our Patreon for 2 years before they hit the free feeds. If you're interested in buying merch, we have shirts, hoodies, mugs, and more for sale over at thewhatnauts.com/store. Another great way to help us out is by subscribing and leaving a nice rating and review on your podcasting app of choice. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel for video versions of the show, trailer reactions, and live streams. And lastly, you can always find out more information about the shows we make on our website, thewhatnauts.com. All right, we are back. Once again, a big shout out to all of our Patreon supporters. We love you a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank
it means
you.
a ton. Over on the Pilots Club, we released our episode on Murder, She Wrote, which was a lot of fun to do. Melissa, what is it that we are covering again for this next month on the Pilots Club? This was your pick.
This year, the Pilots Club is the year of the detective. We will be watching Burn Notice, which maybe
Burn Notice,
leans
that's right.
more spy than detective, but we'll watch it and discuss.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I remember my parents really enjoying that that show. So I'm excited to check it out and see what it's all about. Over on the free version of the Pilots Club, we released our episode on Cheers. However, the one for this next month that is coming out is called Cable Girls. This is a Netflix soap opera of sorts about a number of women who take jobs as switchboard operators. I think around World War II or the Cold War or something like that, if I
No,
remember
it's World War One.
correctly. World War One. Well, one of
Uh,
them, war, you know. But yeah, they take those jobs and they get kind of wrapped up in some spy shenanigans as well as some romance that is happening in that show. So be on the lookout for that. Right here on the review show, I already mentioned it, but we covered Superman the movie. This is the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman. Yes, Melissa, you are ready to go.
We watched the original Richard Donner Superman to celebrate and welcome the coming of James Gunn's Superman next month.
We did.
Today, I just learned that in 2 weeks for St. Louis's big downtown on the arch grounds 4th of July fair, where they have bands and fireworks.
Yeah.
They're also going to have a drone show this year that is
Ooh,
all
nice.
Superman themed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because James Gunn is from St. Louis. So it's not just a promotional tie-in. It is a sincere, homegrown promotional tie-in.
Right, yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. That sounds like a lot of fun. So yeah, go check that out. We had a blast talking about Superman. I'm gonna get to watch the new Superman in St. Louis with Melissa because we are about to hit episode 300 over on the Captain's Log. Go check that one out. I'm super excited. I think we're gonna kind of have that episode be kind of like a travel log, almost more like an NPR style podcast. Just we'll toss it to and here's us at the thing, and then it's video of that and such. So yeah, I'm super excited about that. That's what's happening over there on the Captain's Log. Over on the Reactor Core, I already mentioned Mission Impossible 8: The Final Reckoning. We have a big spoiler cast up about that. So yeah, go check all of that stuff out. That's about it for housekeeping right now. So let's get into some spoilers for Le Mans. There we go. Yeah. This first half hour, let's start there. Let's start with how this movie starts, because I think this was like when the movie first started, I was didn't know what to expect. He's having this leisurely drive. He sees this woman buying flowers. I presumed, like, okay, here's the main character. Here's the secondary character. They must know each other, or he's about to go pick her up. But no, they kind of go their own separate ways. They don't do that. And then, right, he drives out to this patch of road and stops and gets out and just looks longingly, ponderously.
You also see that part of the barrier on the side of the road is a much newer metal. It has obviously been recently repaired. And as he stares at that patch of road, you see these flashes of the accident he went through last year.
Yeah.
Which are just truly flashes. Just lights.
Yeah.
Bokeh lights in the darkness.
Real quick cuts of different things. You see the speedometer go all the way down, like right as he hits. There's like the explosion mushroom cloud thing that happens. There's a quick flash of like the reflection of fire in the helmet. It's just stuff like that has like rolled off and is no longer on the driver, which is also a bad sign, right? Yeah, it's fairly intense for like a real quick flash back. But then almost immediately after that, we cut to people lying on the floor in the woods in the morning. And it's just an odd cut because they're not dead. They're sleeping. They're sleeping in
They're
sleeping bags and in tents, and it's a
Yeah.
quiet little morning, and it's just a weird cut because I have death right in my mind. And like shortly after that, it's like, here's more bodies? No. They're buried. They're sleeping. They're waking up. Oh, okay.
Yes,
There's some
yes.
light bebop jazz in the background. I think I'm supposed
It's
to be
very
excited.
beboppy.
Right, yeah. But it's also like very like English countryside, and
French.
I don't know that. Right, yeah. That juxtaposition of the like small town countryside, like just waking up, yawn, birds in the air, and like the bebop jazz, like the excitement of that. But I understand the connection. It makes sense. I don't know if it's like there's something about it that does not work for me. I don't know if it's the fashion. I don't know if it's just the countryside. I have no idea.
You saw a turtleneck and that set you off.
Right. Who wears a turtleneck and listens to bebop? Right. No, but just something about it didn't really work, despite me, like, in my mind, like making the obvious connection of like the hushed tones and the drum, like the excitement of the drumming, the cymbals is this like people are waking up, they're becoming excited about this thing that's about to like it makes sense, right? But yes, something about that scene just did not really work for me.
I liked it. I liked that in a movie where you expect to see fast cars, and it does ultimately deliver that to you. We start with the leisurely drive.
Right.
And then you see that it's not quite so leisurely. It's maybe more of a pensive drive, a regretful drive. He returns to the scene of this accident. Because Le Mans is on the actual public roads of that town in France.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a space that you can return to in your everyday life the way you couldn't at a racetrack, a more traditional sport-only racetrack.
Right, yeah.
And to see everybody arrive to Le Mans, you see the people camping out, they're in the fields, in the woods, they're waking up. It's this whole big traveling caravan. We have no specific characters we have no face of the public, we have no everyman, we have no entryway viewpoint character, but we do spend more time with the general amalgamated spectators of the sport than I've seen in many other movies. We're just in them, among them. This movie feels more like a documentary, a travel log. I called it a tone poem.
Yeah. It cuts to the crowd and the things that are happening around Le Mans quite a bit as like a B-roll slash like juxtaposition shot of like, you know, something happened over here, and then we're gonna cut to something happening over here as a transition to go back over that way. And it's interesting because it feels much more about the race and everything surrounding it than just specifically the race, which is an interesting way to view that.
It is a portrait of multiple facets of the event, not necessarily the athletes in the event. It takes maybe about half an hour before you see a person speak a line of dialogue. The opening of the movie is largely silent, and you get exposition via overcom messages. And you never see that person. You never see the announcer. And it's not even played that loudly. If I didn't have captions on, I might have missed some of that. But I liked how...
I'm not gonna lie.
He explains everything you need to know about the Le Mans race, and I liked it. I liked how in the background it was. It's like you're just plopped You're picked up and just dropped in the race, in the all of the events surrounding the race. And you're not always going to be able to hear things as clearly. There's not going to be hero shots the way there is in a movie, because this is less of a movie and more like a pretend you were there. Let's say you were there. What are the sights and sounds and senses
Yeah,
of Le Mans, including, oh, I can kind of hear the announcer, but I'm far away from the speaker, and it's
right.
1971 and the speaker's not that great.
And the cars are loud, the fans are cheering,
Mhm.
like even
Mhm.
like a driver or a mechanic who's telling something to the person standing next to them, they have to like yell it in the other person's ear, and even then I can barely hear like
Yeah.
what they're saying. um yeah, that like so after all the camping stuff, yeah, then you get to like, okay, what's happening in the paddock, right? And it is the
Mhm.
drivers, the mechanics, as they're putting on the final touches, they're tinkering with the cars, they're putting on their race suits, they're getting their pictures taken. It's all of that stuff. And again, I get it. Like the scene makes sense of like, oh yes,
Mhm.
they want to put me in the space of what it would be like. There's not gonna be some narrator, there's not gonna be some big monologue or dialogue to explain what's happening here. I'm just in that space. And I think because of that, my brain didn't really know what to do at first. I heard the announcer, but I wasn't really paying attention in the same way that I don't
Yes.
think I would really pay attention to the announcer at a
Mhm.
some kind of sports event. I would listen periodically and get some stuff like, oh, I can glean some things, 5 minutes to start, like all of that stuff, but I'm not listening to everything they say because what they were saying was just kind of bland and boring. And it's just all these details and like, and here's this one and blah blah blah, and over here 16 is Lyle Hill or whatever his name is, and number 22, right? And it's just like, I don't really need to know all of this exactly. Maybe I do. Maybe if I paid attention a little bit more, I could understand a little bit more of the
Mm.
drama that was happening on track. But it is so in the background that the movie's almost signaling that I don't necessarily need to pay attention to that. I can if I want to, but you
Yes.
don't really need to do. And I'll be
Mhm.
honest, again, like understood it, made sense. Half an hour in, I'm like, come on, get to something, get to a lot. What is happening here? I don't like. I know what's happening, but I don't know what's happening.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Why is the wife of the widow of the guy that drove last year and crashed? Why is she here? Right. Uh, That's a little
I
strange. We'll get to that later on as it
mm.
addresses that. But like that's just give me something, anything. Like is this a movie about a rivalry? I don't know, they're not saying it. Anything is it important to me to know who these racers are? Well, maybe not really, because it's just in like a diegetic announcement that's happening at the race here. So it was just one of those things. I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to like attach myself to here. That's my long-winded talk about the
I
first like
I
half an
un
hour of
I
this.
understand. I think for me, who is new to motorsports and is more of a film dork, I liked that this was the motorsports movie for film dorks who do just want abstract dialogue-less European cinema.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Like, and it did clearly call to mind a number of things you and I have watched and enjoyed before. The Wages of Fear, the
Hmm.
Umbrellas of Cherbourg, but
Right.
without
Yeah.
any of the singing.
Right. Yeah. Imagine if they
And
broke into song during the race. The racers are singing as they're racing. Wild. When's that
uh,
happening on
those are two
screen?
things. Those are two things I don't think I've ever seen before: race cars and singing.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed.
Would love to
Indeed.
see them combined. Uh, so I've never been to one of these, not just Le Mans, but any sort of car race. Have you?
No, the closest thing I've been to was Monster Jam. The like monster trucks in a thing. It's not really a race. It's still like
Right,
loud and in your face, and it's fun. I had a
right.
blast at that, but I have never been to an actual race.
So many movies will recreate the experience of doing the thing. And I like that this movie did that, but also recreated the experience of going around to watch the thing and just milling about, sitting in the stands, trying to hear the announcer, but you can't really.
Yeah,
It like put me there in the event, an event that
yeah,
I never thought I would go to and up until recently was not interested in going to, but now I would love to.
right. Yeah,
I really appreciated that about it. I like when a movie's like a little vacation.
that's fun. Yeah, like that. All that stuff makes sense, and I actually like one part of me actually does like what it's doing. I just wonder if it spent a little too much time on that. Like, could you condense
Sure.
this whole like half an hour bit to 15 minutes at the most? Maybe, right? But yes.
Another special thing about Le Mans, it is the 24 hours of Le Mans. It is
Yeah.
a relay race. In this movie, it's a 2-driver team. I believe now it's a 3-driver team. Is that
To be honest,
correct?
I do not know.
I feel like when I've seen Le Mans in other movies, it's a team of 3 drivers. Maybe I'm
So
misremembering.
we I know we both have seen the Gran Turismo movie that recently came out. Which
And
is
Ferrari.
yeah, but I don't think Le Mans was in Ferrari, but in Gran
No,
Turismo they do
isn't
it.
that where all those people die?
I don't think that was the 24 hours
It's
of Le Mans.
1955 Le Mans. I think
Is it?
I'm gonna look. Let me look it up. Let me look up the movie Ferrari.
I thought that was something else, but I don't know. I don't know. Melissa is looking that up.
Oh, this is not a very detailed plot synopsis for Ferrari, whereas the one that Wikipedia has for Le Mans is very detailed.
Right. Is in the Ferrari. Say what race is in the Ferrari movie? It's the Mille Miglia or Miglia.
Okay. 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 Thank you.
It's a 1,000-mile open road endurance race in Italy.
Okay.
So yeah,
In the same vein. All right.
yes,
Not extremely dissimilar. Uh it is a 24-hour relay race, Le Mans is. And it runs from like 4 p.m. to 4 p.m. And this movie does an interesting job of portraying the malaise, the boredom, and like the disinterest that can set in for periods of time in a race that long,
yeah,
where we're in there with the drivers. We're like a camera strapped to the front of the car. We're going down the Mulsanne Straight at 230 miles per hour. We have those action scenes. And then we cut away and we see the literal carnival that is set up adjacent to the racetrack, where all of the townspeople and all of the spectators can go and take a break and just do like a big swing or a tilt-a-whirl.
yeah,
And we see them in the middle of the night just enjoying the carnival. And then in the background, you see the drivers continuing. That it's one of the most exciting things you can ever see, but no spectator, or imagine not many spectators have they don't have their own endurance to sit there and be at 100%
right.
interest and energy level to watch it for all 24 hours.
If
There
you're
are times when you
sitting
need a break.
right, yeah, like if you're sitting in the stands, you can only see this one little small stretch of road. So you see the cars go by maybe a couple times, but
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
They just go by a couple times, and you're like, all right, I've seen the thing that's gonna happen again and again and again and again, right? So yeah, it's like, all right, I can go get a hot dog. You want to ride the Ferris wheel? Let's go ride the Ferris
Yes.
wheel, and we'll come back and maybe we'll find a different spot or something like that.
I liked that a lot that is a good representation of my experience watching motorsports so far, where there are there's surprises, there's incredible, like not incre I thankfully have not seen a disaster. It's just like, "Whoops, hit the wall. Guess I'm out. I'm fine. Hello." I'm waving, "Hey, everybody, just out of this one. No points for me." I've seen that. I've seen incredible upsets and overturns and rivalries, but for good portions of the race, it's like they're still at it.
Yep.
Look at
Still
them
just
go.
driving.
Big
Zoom,
big
zoom.
loop, drive the big
Vroom,
loop.
vroom.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right. It's a nice portrait of the variation of emotional intensity that you can have when watching a race.
Yeah. Yeah, I did think the scene of the couple at the fair eating the cotton candy was just a silly look. Like he has some weird look on his face as he's like munching on this cotton candy. That's just silly. There's a time I think that like the next morning where they cut to some guy who has on like a little small sombrero hat on like on his head. Like he's not an important bit of the movie, but it's just some like little silly fan thing, right? Of like, yeah, is he rooting for someone specific? I don't know. I assume so, right? That yeah, is just neat to see. I remember one time my partner and I were watching one of the F1 races, and the camera cuts to the crowd as they do at some sports
Yes.
events pretty often, and since everything has to kind of be fairly close to live for the F1 race for us to see what's happening in real time. A lot of times when fans finally realize that they're on screen, it cuts away so that they
Yeah.
can't actually be like, oh, hey, and do something. So sometimes you catch them doing things that they don't think really anyone around them is seeing. There was one time this girl was standing up. She had her back turned and was talking to her friends behind her, but was just picking a wedgie out of her butt there, and then turned around and realized she had been on TV and like immediately sat and was just like, oh my God. Like, that was just on TV, wasn't it? So I like
international television.
Relatable, right? Like I understand the small, like weird stuff of people enjoying food and yelling and waving flags and all that stuff and just being silly. But it was one of those things of like, okay, so is this a movie about the event of Le Mans, like, and well, what a challenge it is to put on, and maybe this year it almost didn't happen? No, that's not what this is. So those scenes of going to the fans and stuff like that can sometimes seem like, okay, but why are you showing me this though? But besides just like general feeling, we want you to get a feeling of the race, right? Here's a vibe, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, I can understand that to an extent, but they could cut that stuff out and tighten it up and have it be a movie about the race, because there is some kind of rivalry that's happening there on track. But again, they also don't give you enough about the rivalry. You don't really see the drivers talking to each other enough to really be like, man, these two hate each other.
Right. And you don't know if it is something personal or if it's just
manufactured.
I'm Porsche and you're Ferrari.
That is maybe the closer thing that we get as what was his name? Eric, I believe. I don't remember his last name. But yeah, I believe it was the Porsche and Ferrari
Eric
driver.
Stoller.
He was like, yeah, they're making a thing of you and me being rivals, huh? And then Steve McQueen is like, it's money. And then he responds with, that's American, right? Like, as to say, like, we don't really have a rivalry.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But it's like,
I have no specific feelings about you.
Yeah, like American sports influence has now influenced the journalism that's happening here, which is now like purposely pitting us against each other because they know that gets more money and like, yeah. So that like that stuff is interesting, but again, it's not in there enough to really be like, and that's the plot here. Um, so I yeah, but can we talk about the actual racing scenes a
Yes,
bit here? And
yes.
when we see
Let's get to the meat.
from immediately once it starts, I don't know if they still do this or if it's set up differently now, but it was interesting to see all the drivers start from inside their pit boxes or what have you. um yeah, I was like, oh wow, I thought they would like all start like on a certain patch of the road here or
Mm.
something, but no, they were just like, all right, and go, and there it's just chaos from the get go. I liked that a lot. Again, I don't know if they still do this. They had multiple types of cars in this Le Mans race,
Yes.
like faster cars and some more like sports cars that you could possibly
That
purchase on your own, right?
that is part of it. I think Le Mans started as a display of purchasable cars, and then they started getting more souped up and more extreme and more enhanced to where it is perhaps custom built for this thing, and maybe 12 people in the world will get to buy their own
Right,
version of it.
right, yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting because that does make an interesting obstacle for the faster cars who might lap, some of these slower, just regular cars here to have to go around them or for those cars to get out of the way, right? There is literally an obstacle on the road. Um, but yeah, I thought the shots they had were fantastic. I know that this movie used a bunch of footage from the actual Le Mans race the year prior. Um, it's indistinguishable. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, obviously these are the shots there. It to me was indistinguishable from what was a shot that they specifically made or got for the movie. Except for like, here's the like inside the car, we can see the actor, right? But man, it was shot really well. Like I had it to at the start. It looks like what I know from a modern day Formula One race
Mhm.
here. A lot of good tracking shots, a lot of shots like on the cars from different angles looking out. There was a shot that I really liked that in my mind when I saw it was like, see, you could have started with a shot like this and I would have been into it right away. And it was a super simple shot where it was the camera facing the road, like POV of the car, but only focusing on the ground, like on the road
Mhm.
itself, and you just see the yellow
Mhm.
stripes of
Yep,
the
yep, the
the
Lost
the the
Highway shot.
paint. Yeah, I'm just like, that looks awesome. Like, what a way to like start like, all right, high speed racing, here we go right away. Like I would have loved something like that. And then you go back to like, and it's a flashback and this guy died and that's why there's this rivalry and they're all flirting with the widow now and stuff like that. But that's not what we got.
Instead, the movie starts with a leisurely drive through the countryside, just like that one famous Screamer video of the early 2000s. You know the one I'm talking about?
I think so.
It's the car driving through the fields, and you're supposed to watch it real closely, and then
And
there's
then the
like the
person
Exorcist
jumps up and
face.
screams. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, that opening shot also had this like painterly quality to it, just in the depth of field, the graininess of the film. It looked really fantastic. But it's not a painting. The car is driving in the background, right? But even when they're on track, yeah, there's so much tension. You can hear the roar of the engines again. There's no radio messages that you're listening into. There's no drivers communicating with their pit crew. There's no narration. It's just the cars, right? Um, yeah, it's fantastic. It's kind of therapeutic in that way, which then like counters everything I've said about the other shots of like, okay, here's the bebop jazz as everyone is waking up and getting excited. Like that is also therapeutic in a way, right? So
I just watched that video again. That's so fun.
I figured that's what you were looking up. I saw you over there typing.
Mute so I could still listen to you. I've never watched a screamer on mute.
On
It's a
mute.
different experience. I love the jazz in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah, the song that's playing when they first start racing, fantastic. It's awesome. Just this upbeat, funky jazz. It's a good break beat. Yeah, just good stuff. Like it has this. It's still jazzy, right? So it is like that step up from that bebop, where not like step up as in it's better, but like bebop almost has that like subdued feeling to it,
Yes.
since you're mostly on the cymbals and stuff like that. But now you have full drums, you have trumpets, you have horns, you got a big brass section, guitars, all kinds of stuff. It was good when they did those scenes. I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about Steve McQueen, an actor
Sure.
I described as our most drivingest movie star.
You did. Um, sure. I like, again, this is still my first Steve McQueen movie, so I have really nothing else to compare it to. I don't know how much driving he actually did for this movie or what he does for others. From that video essay that you pointed out to me, Patrick H. Willems, that's his name, right?
Yes.
He did an essay on the importance of the film Grand Prix on modern car movies.
Yes. This
And in
this video is the video is titled "The Insane Realism of the Film That Invented the Modern Car Movie." And the thumbnail says real cars, real actors, 180 miles per hour. And I sent it to you because I misremembered exactly what racing movie it was about. It's about Grand Prix. My
but
apologies.
but they mention Le Mans in that for a bit, and they
Yes.
say that the lead role for Grand Prix, which happened a few like handful of years before this, was offered to Steve McQueen, and he turned it down, which I thought was like, oh, interesting. And everything he explained about what is happening in Grand Prix seemed like, I wonder if Steve McQueen saw that and was almost like, damn it, I missed out. And
Yep.
was like, now I need to make my own version of that, because he described Le Mans as Steve McQueen's passion project, which is a theory that makes sense. Maybe that's what actually happened. I don't know. But that's what I would like to think in my head, that he saw that and how good those shots were, and he was like, oh man, I want a piece of that. But I don't know. As an actor, again, there's not very many lines in this movie. It's mostly quiet, or not quiet. It's not a silent movie by any means, but it's dialogueless for a lot
Yes.
of it.
Two quick things. There was a 2015 documentary called Steve McQueen, The Man and Le Mans, all about the actor's quest to make the film. So it seems like it
Awesome.
was quite a passion project. And yes, the introduction of Steve McQueen is interesting because he's just a vague figure driving a car. And when he steps out of the car, we're on his back. And there is a real hero shot here where it slowly pans around and then you see his face and
Right.
those incredible blue eyes. Yeah, yes.
For podcast listeners, I spun on my swivel chair to reveal myself to the camera.
It's not corny. It's not like when the supervillain turns around in his big office chair in another movie. It's just this movie knows you want to see Steve McQueen, and it's going to have a little fun and tease you a little bit first.
I mean, I would say it kind of is corny, actually. it is this like, oh, Steve McQueen, he's the drivingest actor as Melissa puts it, right? He does have that reveal, and there's a lot of shots that just linger on his scowl, his look as he's looking into the distance or he's looking at the widow. They almost have this like flirty relationship. It's I wouldn't really describe it that there's multiple people flirting with her, but there's multiple drivers that talk to her, obviously, because they all recognize her,
Mm.
and like want to know like, hey, how are you doing? But also, yeah, there's one that's like, hey, you want to get coffee sometime? And then at the end, when the race is over, there's like her and Steve McQueen looking at each other, and she's like smiling at him, like almost in the sense of like, oh, but I love you too, right? Like that's not what's said. That's not necessarily what's implied, but it's almost there.
Mm.
It's
Almost
weird.
there.
It's weird. But yeah, it's just like his scowl as he's like looking at her, his wrinkled face that's all
Yeah.
dirty and grease and oil and
And he
dirt
doesn't
and
have um he doesn't have the same scowl like the guy in The Prisoner. When we watch The
sure, yeah.
Prisoner and how every shot of that guy, he just has this look like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
I'm getting
He's
my
not
way out of here.
he's not quite like The Rock, like one eye
Right.
brow up, but
No,
he
but
had
it's
this
just
like
like he just has the serious, pensive, grave movie star face.
right, yeah.
So Steve McQueen was in a movie called Bullitt,
Mhm.
Bullitt, and I think he's like a detective. I
Okay.
don't know what the movie Bullitt is actually about, but there is a famous extended car chase sequence in this movie. And it's 2001, and my family has just bought our first DVD player. We go to Blockbuster. My dad says, awesome. They have Bullitt on DVD. I'd love to see this movie with the new like surround sound system and the higher audio caliber that DVDs have. So he puts on Bullitt one weekend afternoon and he cranks it up so loud that I had to leave the house. I walked to the edge. I walked to the end of the block and I could still hear the car chase from Bullitt.
Good.
He,
Love it.
he really wanted to be in it. Put him in the car next to Steve McQueen. This might have also partially been a prank. That's the kind of guy my dad is. Like, this will really bug the kids. Let me turn it up to volume 100.
Love
I
it.
can take it.
Love it.
So that's been my main my main relationship to Steve McQueen, the guy who drove a car once extremely loudly. One of these days I'm going to have to see Bullitt and see that car chase for myself, because as
Yeah.
I get older, these dad things that I always wrote off as boring dad entertainment that had nothing for me, a young lady, now I turn to them and realize, no, it's in my blood too. I also can't resist the howl of the engine.
Right.
Not in
Yeah.
real life, but on screen, yes.
yeah.
I love
That's
the
awesome.
way race cars sound. Something about that sound is so invigorating. And all the different types sound different from each other.
Mhm.
My dad has a motorcycle, and when he got the motorcycle, he was telling me about how he had to take it in to the shop and get something done on it to make it louder. And I'm like, why do you want it louder? It's already so obnoxious.
He has like big, like chopper kind of like Harley, or is it like?
It's a Harley. It's not like the ones that have like the really long legs in the front. I don't know
Gotcha, sure,
words. Yeah. I don't know the terminology.
He's not like handlebars
Right.
up here,
No.
legs
Yeah,
like.
right. No, he's standard sitting pose.
Just kind of regular Harley.
Right. And now he's got one of the ones that's like a tricycle.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
With the two wheels in back. But he says, it's loud so that people know you're there. It's loud for safety. Like if you're
Yeah.
living your life and you hear an extremely loud bike take off down the street, you might think, God, that's so annoying. I'm going to kill that guy. But you're not really. The volume announces, I am here. Know that I am here. Don't miss me, please. It truly is a safety mechanism. Thank goodness my dad's bike is as loud as it is so that I can
Yeah.
still have a dad. Uh, and after I learned that, I thought of that sound completely differently. And when I watch motorsports and you hear that insane roar, it is a sound of safety. Of course, they're not exposed folks on motorcycles just wearing a helmet and a leather jacket hoping like a big SUV doesn't hit them. It's not exactly the same case, but the roar is a sound of it's something so massive and primal. It is the equivalent of a god's own thunderclap, but a human makes it simply by putting foot to pedal. The immediacy of the noise, the rawness of it, that it is
Mm.
so tactile. It is a person does it. It's not even that they trigger a thing that does a series of things. Like if you were flying an airplane, that's not as easy as foot to pedal. When an airplane roars, that's a number of different switches and controls, as far as I know. I just like watching these things. I don't
No,
know
just
how
hit
any of
the
them work.
go button. That's all. And then it
Right.
starts up, right?
I know it's not that easy. And I imagine these high-end race cars are not quite as easy as my Chevrolet Trax, but a man makes that noise. A man is immediately in the process of making that noise, foot to pedal, vroom, and it makes a sound like the heavens opening up. And it makes a sound to declare that they're alive and they wish to
Mm.
continue being alive.
Very poignant. We'll get to something in just a sec. I also have to say, yes, my partner and I just bought an EV, a hybrid. But still, like when the car is like under 30 miles an hour and it's only operating on the battery, that car is almost silent. It is wild. And EVs are, and like these vehicle companies are having to wrestle with that of like, oh, but if
Mhm.
a pedestrian can't hear the car coming
Yes.
around a corner, that's a safety thing here, right? If a blind person is waiting at an intersection, like they are waiting for different sounds to tell them it is safe to
Mhm.
go. And even if one thing is telling them it's safe, right? They could still hear an engine coming from that way that might tell them otherwise.
Mhm.
So yeah, they're having to produce electric vehicles with that make sound like an
Yes.
engine or something else that like will alert people to like, hey, there's something here. I am here. Look at me. Pay
Yes.
attention to me. I am here.
Yes.
And
And the
that's
sounds
kind of
may be
wild.
annoying,
Yeah.
but there's far, far worse things than being annoyed.
Yeah.
That's why we must make the sounds.
But I think you hit on something really poignant, which again, I think this movie could almost have been about. I think we have a plot line in here about a woman whose husband dies in a horrific crash. And she's shocked. Like when it shows her, when she gets the news that her husband was in a crash, she does not faint. She's not super emotional, crying, all this stuff. She's standing still. Like her facial expression
Hmm.
almost does not change. She's in
Mm.
shock, right? And it's the other people around her that are like, "Hey, are you okay? Like we don't know what's happened yet. I'm sure he's fine, right? But that's not what happened." And then when she shows up at this next race, it's weird in a way that I feel like no one is really addressing, but no one can really address. You wouldn't be so
Yes.
rude to be like, well, why are you here? Right? Like you wouldn't say that to her face exactly. But yeah, there is this like your husband's dead. Like, how are you involved in this? Why are you still here? And she's obviously still grieving and grappling with this. And I think she's wanting to reach out, but does not necessarily know how.
Mhm.
But the movie doesn't necessarily say that,
Yeah.
except for in this one scene where she's in like a trailer or some little bit like of the events campus, where she's talking to Steve McQueen and she's asking him, why do you do this? And I think this is after he had his accident. He had something that caused him to crash his
Mhm.
car, and he was thinking he was done for the event. Turns out there was yet another crash that happens that got him back in because that driver was worse off than him. So, right, yeah. But she's asking him, like, why? Why do you do this? And his response is this really like again, I don't want to detract from what he's saying here, but it's not as poignant as it could be. But he like it starts to be like, okay, you're getting to some poignancy with what you're saying here. It is this like I like for me, racing is life. When I'm in that car,
Yes.
I feel alive in a way that I don't when I'm not.
Yes.
The
Anytime
tension,
I'm not
yeah.
Yeah, when I'm not behind the wheel of a car, I'm just waiting.
Yeah. And I think the movie had a real opportunity to dig into that and the need to be in those situations or to right, just to explain that of like racing is life, is a metaphor both
You
literal
take your
and
life a quarter
yeah.
mile at a time.
Right, yeah. There's roadblocks that come up in life, just like there's roadblocks on an actual road, right? You can start getting into some dumb metaphors with that, but uh, yeah, he says that line, and that kind of glosses over the situation. Like she's not like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand my husband, or I understand. Like I can deal
It's
with my
difficult.
grief
Yes.
now. But the scene moves on in a way that's like, well, that wasn't entirely satisfying. I want to check in with her
Right.
now to like, how are you? What are the emotions you're going through exactly? We don't get that.
Now, which is not the mission of the film. This widow, Lisa, the scene you're describing, it starts with her going to Steve McQueen because there's just been another fatal race that McQueen was involved in. Or like he like knocked somebody and they had spun and they hit a wall. The accidents in this are gnarly
Oh yeah.
to where I'm shocked that these are purely stunts and like these were done with real cars and a guy could walk away afterwards. They're
Or
intense.
how much of this was something that happened in the year before in Lamont?
Mm, mm. She asks, when somebody dies, shouldn't it be for something very important?
Yes, thank you.
This is 1971. We are in a post-war era. There's I suppose people would go to war and die in war for something. She's like, when you die in a sport like this, why? What for? What's the mission? Why was this sacrifice demanded? If it
Yeah.
is not for some massive greater good, why put yourself in the danger? Why sacrifice that much? And his best response is, for the people that do this, this is their life's work. This is the most important thing in the world to them. It is what makes them feel alive. And because of that, they all accept the risk of death.
Yeah.
They, of course, want to live, but if it's race knowing that there's a chance you could die or not race at all, the answer is clear to them. And I there is a verisimilitude to this movie where it is not as neat as most films are. And the fact that he doesn't have an answer that is completely satisfying to her or to the audience. I did like that. It does fit with the tone of the rest of the movie for me.
Yeah. Um, to again mention that video essay, I will put a link in the description of all
Thank you.
the podcast stuff. As they are talking about Grand Prix and the kind of amazing shots that they were able to get, all these like camera rigs that they invented, and how that was pretty much the first time where you got to be in the car with the driver instead of just a bystander watching them go by. They had a clip. I assume this was of Grand Prix. I don't know if it was an interview. I'm sure he would have mentioned if it was. I think it was a clip from Grand Prix where one of the drivers is talking about it feels like being inside a bomb. Like you are in a coffin surrounded by gasoline. And yeah, it feels like being inside a bomb. And that seemed to oddly fit in the way that Steve McQueen is answering her question of like, there is something that is just unexplainable about it. Like, who would want to actually be inside a bomb? Well, no one. But also, this is kind of what it feels like, but no one's truly experienced that. And that's the closest thing that we can get. Like, there's something about it that just is so exhilarating, so adrenaline pumping, inducing, that like this makes me feel alive. Like I have some kind of connection to myself, the afterlife, even. I don't know. I'm extrapolating now, but like, yeah, some kind of just almost otherworldly connection to now I feel alive. I understand what it means to live life. And yeah, I think as you guys can tell, that's the one thing I wanted this movie to do more of, was like, okay, wrap this up a little bit more neatly into like, what is this movie truly about here? And yeah, that I think would have been a really poignant thing to have this be about, of like, what is life? What does it mean to be alive? How is racing like life? And all those ways. I think I would have liked that a lot, but again, that's not what we got here. And I think it's like, as a result, it like I keep mentioning these things, and it sounds like maybe I didn't like the movie, but that's not the case. I think that's why I find it so fascinating, right? That like, there's bits and pieces of all these different things, and I see it. I see their vision and what they're going for. And it's enough to like have a complete sentence or a complete thought, right? But it's not enough to really like, I had a full meal. But I did, but also I didn't. It's like I've gone to a restaurant and ordered their sampler platter of their appetizers and got full, right? Of like, I could eat that by myself and count that as a full meal. But also, did I really have tacos? No, but I had a taco, right? But did I also have mozzarella sticks? I mean, yeah, but I didn't eat only mozzarella sticks, right? That's what I feel like this movie is, and so I think I'm fascinated, but also confused.
I kind of get what you're going for.
Right?
I think I was pleasantly surprised that the movie was a little stranger and artier than I expected.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. I think so. I don't know. Do you have any other things about this that you wanted to mention? Shots that stood out to you? Characters you want to talk about or do anything? There's not really much depth to any of these characters.
I was structurally surprised that McQueen's Porsche is totaled like half an hour before the movie's supposed to end, and he's out of the race. I'm like, why are we here now? And then you see that there's another Porsche that got damaged, and they're like, that driver isn't cutting it. You're okay. Your car's totaled, but you walked away fine. Can we just swap you out? Can we put you in there? you drive, please, for the brand?" And he's like, "I guess. What else am I here for?
He was like,
I'm
I was
here to
having a
live.
poignant moment with right. He interrupts
Drive
me
to
in my
live to
poignant
drive."
moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I think the scene of the crash, where that other driver, the other like where the driver dies and the other Porsche guy, is it the Porsche driver that dies, or does he have to go to the hospital? It, I don't remember if it was
I
multiple
also do
cars,
not
because there's the one that
remember.
goes off the track, and then there's one that I think is looking at the explosion and then almost hits the car in front of him and then swerves out of the way.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But there's the scene where the helicopter is coming in to pick up the driver that like had flew
Yes.
off the track. That was a big crash. And oh man, that I was not expecting to see the body of like the driver laying on the mat, but it's like it's following the helicopter as it's landing, and like as it comes to the ground, the driver like is like then seen in the corner of the shot, and you just see like the blood on his face, and it's just like, whoa, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Was not
Mhm.
expecting that in the scene. I was just expecting a normal helicopter landing shot, and
They talk
some
about
just like them carrying him on the thing where like maybe you see the arm
cover
like
right,
fall out of
yes, yes.
the
Covered
right,
in
yeah.
sheet, all you see is arm.
Right, yeah. But no, you see
We're
like
gonna
him
put
just laying
we're
there.
gonna put we're gonna put that on our bingo tropes list for next year.
Yeah,
It's a good one.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, they do talk about how the drivers all have to wear fireproof underwear.
Yes, I had a thought on that scene too. Did you want to go
No,
first and talk about that though?
that's just that's just my commentary. I loved that finally, after 320 episodes, we've encountered most phrases in the English language, now including fireproof
Fireproof
underwear.
underwear. Yeah.
Continue.
So in that scene, this is a scene in the first like half an hour where when they're getting ready for the race. They're in the paddock. The drivers are getting ready. They're putting on their suits. They're getting their pictures taken. And it's like this is the announcer that's in the background that is like, and the drivers all have to wear fireproof underwear that has to withstand up to 1,400 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 seconds. And the driver that is on screen as they're talking about this is walking around his car and coming closer to the camera. And he has on this like super fancy watch, as a lot of these drivers often do.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
something I don't know if you've noticed, that if they are sponsored by a
Yes.
watchmaker, sometimes they
Yes.
will have a fake watch on their driving gloves that is designed to look
Oh
like
my
the watch that's sponsored, because on the scenes where you can see the driver's like hands, they still want their watch to be present, and
I
immediately when they get out they will put the watch on after the race. Ridiculous stuff.
I've
But
not noticed that. I will watch the like pre-race interviews where those lady journalists are standing around talking and interviewing people, and
brought to you by
they always have
Rolex,
nice
right? Yeah,
what Rolex or Tag Heuer. I don't
right,
yet
yeah.
know how to spot one of those at 50 paces, but they're always wearing nice watches, and I never see women wear watches like that just out in the wild. But now it makes me feel like I'm supposed to have a watch too.
Right, yeah. But yeah, they will like immediately when the race is done, you'll see the drivers get out of the car, take their helmet off, their gloves off, and then put a watch on. It's kind of ridiculous. But the in Le Mans, in this scene, you see the driver go around this car and come closer to the camera, and he has this big fancy watch on, and it looks like the watch is about to stop like in the center of the screen and almost be like that we have product placement at
Uh-huh.
races, and this is just a nod to stuff like that, right? But no, he stops a little bit short, and it's looking right at his crotch, right as they're talking about the fireproof underwear. And I was just like, oh my god, this is so funny. It's just like underwear, crotch shot. Here we go.
That's
Cut.
that's where it is. He's got
Spoiler
it
alert.
on now. It goes there.
Yeah. So yeah, that was just an interesting detail about all that stuff. Fun stuff. Yeah, I had a good time watching this, even if I was kind of baffled by what kind of meal I ate. Right? I had a good time. So good stuff indeed. Should we head over to bingo?
Yes.
Okay, let me bring up our bingo cards on screen. And then I need to pull it up on my end here so I can do all of this stuff. All right. Bingo. We had a lot of rain. We didn't get a fight in the rain per se.
No.
Unless you want to say like two cars right in the midst of the race, but I don't know if we got enough narratively to suggest that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. Yeah, I would also say no. I have a square labeled overprotective of their vehicle. And I think in this movie, everybody is appropriately protective of their vehicle.
Yeah.
But one thing I'd like to ask you if I can get is arted to death.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. This is art. It is their art.
Yeah. I think that you could easily say that that's why the plot about the widow being there and asking the question she does is because her husband was arted to death. He did his art. He did his thing. That
you do your art until
his
you
whole
die.
Life. Yes, yeah. He was consumed by the thing that he did. Yeah, I will happily give you that one. I don't think I have that one. Don't have a fake fast food name. No tug of war resulting in a broken object. I don't think I have anything that I can do for this one. Not even. It's a sign.
No.
Anyways,
that is our little.
That is our bingo update for this episode. How do I get back to the podcast? There we go. Let's get into recommendations. We've already mentioned a number of them that I'm sure we will be talking about here. But Melissa, for anyone who enjoyed this, what else might they like?
If you're interested in Le Mans, Michael Fassbender, the actor, raced a year or two in Le Mans, and you can watch a documentary series about it on YouTube.
Good. I'm glad
what car brand it is.
Mentioned that because I would have mentioned it if you did not.
Thank you. Where? Oh, good. YouTube, take me to my history. Who presented this? What car brand was it? Show me Michael. Porsche. It is Porsche. Same as what Steve McQueen is driving. Michael Fassbender rode to Le Mans.
Yeah.
That's the best of both worlds, where it's real sportsmanship, but also a movie star is there.
Yeah.
Watch that. Watch the Patrick H. Willems video essay on Grand Prix. Patrick H. Willems has also done video essays on Days of Thunder and Speed Racer. So multiple racing films.
As the video essay that we keep mentioning hints at, he was like, all right, I'll have to make one on Speed Racer soon. He eventually did. Came out like a month ago.
Yes. Yeah. A crowning achievement. We have mentioned the movies Ferrari, Gran Turismo. I have seen most of Ford versus Ferrari. You haven't yet.
I'm not.
That thing, I don't drink beer. I've never figured out how to like beer. But when I watched Ford versus Ferrari, that felt like how I imagine. Right. That thing goes down smooth. It's crisp. It's refreshing.
Cracking a cold one with the boys.
Right. My boys are Christian Bale and Matt Damon.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
And now here are some movies you and I have watched together on the review show. We did watch Speed Racer on episode 108.
We did, yeah.
We watched The Wages of Fear on episode 254. If you watch The Wages of Fear, please also check out William Friedkin's Sorcerer, which
I
is a
still haven't watched
remake.
that one.
They're both great. Watch both. Double feature. On episode 298, we watched The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. This is a French musical from the 1960s. It is sung entirely through. There are no separate individual songs. It's vibrantly colorful, interesting little slice of life story. We watched that last year to celebrate the Paris Olympics, and we also watched this French movie, Titan.
Yeah.
On episode 297, it's so funny to me in hindsight that we watched Titan and then The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Like, we got to calm ourselves down. Titan is a movie where a woman has sex with a car and then gets pregnant with a car baby.
Like one does.
Is it a comedy? No. What is it? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's a body horror crime thriller. It's one of the strangest movies we've ever watched here on the review show. And of course, if we're here talking about fast cars, what is a fast car without a tire? On episode 75, we watched Rubber, the horror movie about a sentient tire.
Melissa, 4 days ago on our YouTube, Arte-On says, best movie in the world, multiple exclamation marks on our video on Rubber.
Rubber.
Yeah.
And we've been mentioning it all episode. I am new to Formula One. I'm brand new. I watched the latest season of Drive to Survive, and now I'm circling back around from season 1 of Drive to Survive.
Yes.
And
you've met
the
Gunther.
Dramatic
Gunther. I love Gunther Steiner.
Yet. I just watched the episode that's all about Esteban Ocon, and at the end they play sad music, and I'm like, he's still alive. This sounds like dead person music. And at the end of the episode, it has a title card like Esteban Ocon was not given a driving contract for the year 2019, but he's back now. So I don't know where he went and how he came back. Okay, well, just one year, good for him.
Multiple times, yeah.
Nice to know.
Multiple times, not for him, but for drivers in general. But it is very difficult. Of like, once you lose your seat, there is a very good chance that you are not gonna make it back in. So the fact that he did is fantastic for him.
Great. Yeah. Watching this latest season and then going back and trying to do a full circle has been fascinating. There's people who I didn't know have been in the game for this long. It's funny to go back and they're like, this new Max kid is pretty good.
Right? Yeah. Young little Max Verstappen at 18 years old.
Right. I watched the exit of Daniel Ricciardo, and now I'm going back to when Daniel Ricciardo was at the height of his powers. Yep. And really, if you are curious about Formula One, if you think you might be into it, or even if you think you won't be, but you're like, I need some context for this thing people keep talking about, Drive to Survive is very compelling.
It's incredible. Yeah, I would recommend it even to someone who's not interested in motorsports, just because it's just made really well and you can see the tension. Now, that kind of goes up and down as seasons go on, and they have to find narratives to make an episode on, and some it's like, okay, you guys kind of pumped this one up a little bit more than what was actually happening, but still it's fun to watch.
I watch it on my phone at the gym and it makes me go faster.
Drive to Survive, good stuff.
Those racing set pieces are exhilarating.
You're about to meet Gunther Steiner on Drive to Survive. He used to be the team principal for Haas. I loved him a lot. He has a very thick accent and he likes to cuss. And And yeah, he's great, and he's the one in the original F1 trailer. He's the guy that like popped his head out from that
Mm,
box. You see him for like a second as he's like,
mm.
huh? Right? Um,
Oh, I gotta catch up then. I gotta speed run some more Drive to Survive so that when I go see F1 next
yeah.
week,
You're like, I know
starring
him.
Missouri's own Brad Pitt, I will have more context for some of the, I was gonna say old school characters, like they're completely ancient, like they're the Flash with the metal helmet with the wings on it.
Yeah,
Some Silver Age F1 characters. I just mean people who existed prior to the season we're in now, which is all I know.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Highly recommend Drive to Survive.
The
Um,
timely comics of old.
oh God. Did you have any other recommendations?
Ah, ah, I remember really liking The Great Escape, but he drives a motorcycle in that.
Okay.
So if you're like, 4 wheels is too many, can you have them just on two? You can.
There you go. There you go. Good stuff. Did we mention that we've covered a number of the Fast and Furious movies?
Did not. Those are I don't think of those when I think about motorsports movies because it's not
They're
sports.
family movies.
They are family movies. That is true. Motor Family.
Yeah.
You know, those aren't like official sanctioned races with real rules.
Right, but they do have some fun car sequences and stuff like that. We have covered all of them. Here on the review show, we did 1 through 9. We did that as a lead up to Fast X. And then I believe we have a spoiler cast for Fast X over on the Reactor Core that you guys can go listen to. But we talked about the first, we did them in 3 movie chunks. So we did the first 3 movies on episode 239 right here on the review show that you guys can go check out. And then for the Reactor Core, it was, come on, buddy, Fast X spoiler cast was episode 117. Yeah. Other things that I would recommend if you are into some comics or some manga, I always recommend Initial D, or you could go watch the anime that is about street racing. But there is such a love for the cars in that it's like, oh, this is not just made by a guy that likes making comics. This is made by a guy that loves cars. They are so like beautifully detailed and rendered and talked about in a way that it makes the racing that they do, even as you're reading the manga, just feel so tense and like what's gonna happen on the edge of your seat. And yeah, I love the anime. It's one of my favorites. It can be pretty cheesy, but man, it has so much heart and it's a lot of fun. I think that same creator is also working on something new. I don't remember what it is called though, and it is another kind of racing centric manga. That you can do that. There is an anime movie called Redline that I highly recommend. It's all hand drawn art, and the art is just beautifully psychedelic and crazy, and just a million things always happening at once on screen. Again, just for the art alone, go watch it. It's incredible. But this is about a sort of endurance death race. These cars can have like big speed boosts and weapons attached to them and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of fun to check out. If you want more kind of documentary style stuff, there is a documentary called Brawn. I think it has a subtitle. I don't remember. I don't remember what it is, but I think it's spelled BRAWN. And it's a 4 episode thing. It's available on Hulu, and it is hosted by Keanu Reeves because he's a big motorsport fan. He's been in some professional races himself, stuff like that. And he did a documentary about an F1 team that kind of came out of nowhere and had found a
Cool.
loophole in the rules to kind of slingshot them to a championship. And immediately, like all the other teams were like, whoa, what is happening over there on that car? Like, how are they
Wait.
so much faster than everyone here?
When was this? Not when did
Uh,
this documentary come out, but when did Braun
oh,
do a championship?
I don't know. Don't quote me on this. Early 2000s. I
Okay.
think, or
I ask
late
like it means
2000s.
anything to me.
I could be really wrong on that. It may have been like 2013 or something like that. I don't know.
The ancient days.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, that is just a great documentary series that I think is just fun to watch because you can tell that Keanu Reeves also just loves it. He loves cars. He loves, like, he's into it as like someone who's hosting these interviews and stuff like that. It's so much fun.
I do like that when an actor can have a second life in a sport that they love, like Keanu Reeves, like Michael Fassbender, like Patrick Dempsey, who I think just races now and very rarely acts.
There you go. Same thing for Frankie Muniz, who for the past handful of years has been racing in NASCAR. Yeah, so if you remember Malcolm from Malcolm in the Middle, right? He is a NASCAR driver.
That's neat.
Yeah. So yeah, you can go watch NASCAR stuff and see Frankie Muniz race. Any other stuff? Go watch Cars.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he is named after Steve McQueen. The legacy is there.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I believe that's all I have for recommendations right now. Let's go check all of that stuff out. Melissa, it's that time of year again. We're getting ready for our cage match.
Yes. Every year, the first weekend of July, we watch a Nicolas Cage movie. You let me pick out our Cage movie this year.
Our national
We're going
treasure,
to be watching
Nicolas Cage.
That's what we started with. You'll hear we call it Cage Match Weekend or National Treasure Weekend because it's usually around the 4th of July. This year we will be watching Raising Arizona, the earliest Cage to date.
Yeah, I've seen this at least once in its entirety before. I've seen bits and pieces of it, as I know my dad really likes this film, so he's had it on multiple times. I remember really liking it and thinking this is a really good movie. It has been over a decade since I've watched this, and I don't remember really anything about this. So I'm excited to jump back in to see Nicolas Cage raising a little baby, right? That's what's in this one, right? I don't
him
even
and Holly
remember
Hunter
exactly.
steal a baby, yes. And John Goodman is in it. So for the last episode we record before you come visit me in Missouri, I wanted to give you a movie starring a Missourian. Our national treasure. There's more than one, and it's John Goodman.
Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah, I'm super excited about this. Do you happen to know if it's streaming anywhere?
I did not see it anywhere. Try your local library.
Okay, cool. I'm sure you can easily rent it for a couple bucks on Amazon or Apple as well, but should be an easy one to find. But yeah, that is what we will be up to for this next episode. So with that, let's wrap things up right here. Melissa, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can email me the old-fashioned way, back from the days of screamer videos on YouTube, pre-YouTube. You download like a FMV file and email it to somebody. And that's how you'd have to watch the car, and then suddenly a ghoul jumps out and screams at you. Email me at yourhostmelissa@gmail.com.
Remember LimeWire? Man, good times. If you guys want to follow me, I am at Yo Kyle Springer. And if you want to stay up to date with everything that we do here at the Whatnauts, we are at thewhatnauts.com on Blue Sky. So please go like, share, and subscribe. You guys know the deal with all of that. If you're watching this on YouTube, go watch more of our videos over there on that side of the screen. That would help us out as well. We hope you enjoyed this one. This is number 230 of the Whatnauts Review Show. We will see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.